بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. Now we're moving on to two more particles. They're very short, so I have it in one lesson. حرف الاستقبال and حرف التفسير. بحرفا because there are two حرف of استقبال and two حرف of تفسير. So quick look, we're now doing عامل مأمور and إعراب. So in عامل section and عامل have فعل عامل, and in حرف section we have حرف عامل and have غير عامل. The حرف عامل we discussed previously. Now we're discussing the حرف غير عامل. And the حرف غير عامل, there's quite a few of them. Within the حرف العطف, within the حرف الجواب, أحرف التأكيد, أحرف الشرط, توبيخ تحضير, we have عرض, we have تنبيه, we have مصدر, أحرف النفي, أحرف الزيادة, أحرف الاستفهام, أحرف التمني, and then we have أحرف الاستقبال. استقبال, استقبل يستقبل استقبالا, to make future, مستقبل, the future tense. And we also have أحرف التفسير, the particles which give a bit more detail. We'll go into detail of these أحرف التفسير إن شاء الله. So حرفا الاستقبال. So القسم الثالث عشر. The 30th is حرفا الاستقبال. The two particles of استقبال. الأول السين. The first is سين. So for example you have here سأجتهد. Within this audience الصغرى في التصريف. That when you have the particle سين, the أجتهد on its own, what does it do? It can give the meaning of present or future. When you have the meaning of seen, when you add the particle seen on, it can only be the future tense. For example, سيقول السفهاء من الناس سيحلفون بالله. So the seen specifies it the future tense. And the second is سوف. Now both are future. Seen is more nearer future and سوف is more of a delayed future. سوف ترى. So it says سأجتهد, I will work hard. Okay, if you will work hard. سوف, you shall soon, I shall work hard. You shall soon see. You shall soon see, a tongue twister. You shall soon see the fruits of your hard work. So sawfa makes it into the future tense. But this future is obviously, this will come first, a bit closer. And sawfa is a bit more distance. So seen and sawfa, when they come onto the فعل المضارع, they make the فعل المضارع مخصوص بالمستقبل. That's what they call حرفا الاستقبال. Seen is a bit closer in the future, and sawfa is a bit more further in the future. Understood? It's quite easy. I think I explained it there really. We did that sarf last year. Next was حرفا التفسير. Okay, so الأول أي. The first is the particle أي. So basically what the أي does, instead of relying on, basically if you look at it, like zoom out of the Nahw, look at it a bit more the meaning. What happens in the particle أي, instead of trusting the mukhatab to understand as a badal, you basically point out and saying here, this is the badal, this is the explanation. Because the badal is a bayan as well, and the badal kind of clarifies, explains, gives more detail. But when you put the particle ay, it makes it very clear that we're talking about this. So as'alullah al-firdawsa. I ask Allah for firdaus. What is firdaus? Al-Jannah. You following? So you can, that's why as'alullah al-firdawsa ay al-Jannah. So we can have, if you want to, we can take out this and put as a badal. As'alullah al-firdaus al-Jannata. And make it a badal. But you put the ay to clarify it. This especially comes like when you want to like say IE. I'm not sure, but it's possible. This is IE. And what does IE mean? Is IE have an English meaning? Like, is it abbreviation of something? Something indicative or something like that? I don't know. But it's very similar to IE. You can't forget that. IE. So I. The second one is an. Now, the thing about the particle I is usually for tafsir al-mufrad. It's for tafsir al-mufrad. Usually for tafsir al-mufrad. And an is for what? Tafsir al-jumla. This is usually for what? Tafsir al-jumlati. So after an, you normally have a jumla. Nahu da'awtu Allah, I make dua to Allah. What dua do I make to Allah? An adkhilni al-firdawsa, that He gives me entry into Jannah. Now you will do this, or you have done this already in unit 5. Yes, in unit 5 somewhere. Or I can't remember where you have done it. But the rule is, when you have a quotation, and the verb is not qala or sa'ala, what is it? The verb is not qala or so if you have a quotation with qala or sa'ala, you don't bring anything. You don't have to bring the an. Are you following? And if you have a quotation but it's not qala or sa'ala, then you bring the particle an. So now you don't have to translate this as that, because it's not an amil. You don't translate this as that. You don't translate it like that. That's basically a quotation mark, an Arabic quotation mark. So you say, I made dua to Allah, grant me entry into Firdaus. Yes? And don't mix this up with the an what? Nasiba. Because he doesn't do amalan adkhilni. It's not amalan, this one. Yes? Yeah. Correct? Are you following me? So the rule is, ay is for tafsir al-mufrad, and an is for tafsir al-jumla, and an comes as a quotation for all verbs except qala and sa'ala. They have the quotation directly without the particle an. The rest of the verbs have the particle an as a quotation mark. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. So, you have ay لتفسير المفرد وأن لتفسير الجملة. Yes? So, ay is for tafsir of the mufrad, and an tafsir of a jumla. And I explained that before. And an is لتفسير قول بدون فعل القول والسؤال. The an is to explain, expand, explain a qawl, a statement. Right here, a statement. So the particle an is to expand on a statement without the verb of a qawl or su'al. If you have sa'ala, yas'alu, sal, then you don't have an. Or if you have qala yaqul, you don't have an. So anything aduna, apart from, other than. Apart from, other than. So apart from and other than. Qala yaqulu qawlan and sa'ala yas'alu su'al. Apart from those two, the particle what? An is used as a tafsir, as an explanation. Does that make sense? Is that clear to everybody? Yes. And then we have here an ta'ti masdariyatan. An can come as a harf masdar. When it comes before fi'l mudari. مخففة من المثقلة حرف الزيادة ولما أن جاء البشير. Or it can come for tafsir. So an can come in different ways. We have فَتُعْرَفُ بِالسِّيَاقِ. It can be understood from the context. And you have to know from the context, is it an masdariya, is it an mukhaffafa, an harf ziyada, or is it an for tafsir? Is everybody following? Yes? Any questions from anyone? No? So let's do the i'rab of a few of these. So we have sa'ajtahidu. It is a sin harf istiqbal, mabni al-fath. Nothing else. Then sawfa, same thing sawfa. حرف الاستقبال مبني للفتح. أسأل الله الفردوس أي الجنة. You will say أي is حرف التفسير مبني على السكون and كسرت أي الجنة because of the join on كسرت الالتقاء الساكن. أصل is originally أصلا اسمه مبني على السكون, but because of joining together it becomes what? كسرت الالتقاء الساكنين. And جنة, there's different ways of doing it, but one way of doing it is الجنة is بدل من الفردوس منصوب للفتح. That's the best way of doing it. There's other ways of doing it as well, but the best way that I like is you say بدل من الفردوس أي منصوب بالجنة منصوب بالفتحة. So you make it the بدل of the word before it. You understand? That's one way of doing it. There's others as well. Understood? So with أي, the word after أي is the بدل of the word before أي. And دعوت الله أن أدخلني الجنة, you say أن is حرف تفسير مبني على السكون. Then you have all the rest. And then the جملة أدخلني, the جملة أدخلني الفردوس مفعول به منصوب محلا. Is what منصوب به? منصوب محلا. There's also other ways. There's other ways as well. وفي إعرابه وجه آخر. There's another way of doing the إعراب, but this is quite simple. دعوت الله أن أدخلني الفردوس, make المفعول به of دعوت, and أن is حرف تفسير. Everybody understand? Everyone following? Yes? Any questions for anyone? Okay, subhanallah wa bihamdihi subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.